me tonight is my master of ceremonies, MC Mori McMori. Say hello to the fine people.
MC Mori McMori here. Happy to be here. Slinging balls and he's carrying out the various ceremonies and experiences.
That's right. And tonight, for the first ceremony, we'll be doing. I have no idea what this is. I've never played Pinball FX3. Apparently, there's a shark feature implemented in construction Kaiju's Mount Rushmore. Oh, God, there's Marvel in this. I saw a Marvel thing. God, of course. And Star Wars, too.
Oh, there's all sorts of things. Yes. Yes, all sorts.
Let's see.
From the film Jaws to the film Marvel.
So I believe I just click on... Oh, there's a Fallout. Interesting. I just click on any of these?
There is. Well, I mean, you can try any of them for free, but the table that comes with it for free is Fishtails.
Interesting. Then we will be doing Fishtails tonight, because tonight just isn't about pinball. It's also about film tales.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
I'm not going to listen to any of these tutorials.
Tonight we'll be talking about an especially bad film. It's probably my favorite bad film. It's very terrible. It's called Pieces, and it's a classic bad '80s horror film that was made not in America, but it wants you to think it was made in America. So.
That's the thing, is I was looking at trying to find some images for it to post up with the stream. Unfortunately, everything on my computer was screaming when I was trying to install this and export compress last night's episode at the same time, because I just don't think about resources like that. And I was trying to find a picture for it, and one thing that seemed common as like a phrase for the show was that they always said, "It's exactly what you think it is," and it's a picture of just a bunch of mutilated women and like a chainsaw or something.
Yeah, that's the tagline. Like, Pieces. It's exactly what you think it is. Yeah.
See, because when you said Pieces,
the thing is, it's not. It's not exactly what you. It's very strange.
Well, enlighten me, because honestly, my first thought was when you kept calling it Pieces, I kept thinking about that guy who wrote the novel A Million Little Pieces. And so I just kept thinking that it was the story about him being found out as a fraud and Oprah hunting him down. There's a thunderbolt or a flash of lightning, and we see her just standing outside the window looking at him.
Right.
But then I guess now Pieces just means the pieces of all the women he's cut up.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, at its heart, Pieces is really about this Jewish dude, Kendall, who's just like, I mean, slamming ass left and right. Let's call him a Jude. It's about this Jude Kendall, and he's slamming ass left and right at this college where apparently, all the ladies are really into slamming ass quite frequently. It is important to note, though, that Pieces is a chainsaw slasher flick set at a college in America, and it's created by someone who clearly doesn't understand America, American colleges, slasher flicks, even chainsaws, or just like the idea of university at all. Um, it's horrible. It's quite bad, but some of the themes honestly are universal. Smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed, wanting to have sex underwater, getting killed on a waterbed, getting killed next to a pool. There's some very universal themes
here. Such as? Like murder?
Death, water, university barely making sense. There's all kinds of red herrings. I don't want to go too far into it, but to quote the film, um, well, it's exactly what you think it is.
I mean, so is it like this guy goes off to college and now he's just like, okay, now I'm gonna finally, punish the women or something, or is he? I'm at a
No,
loss as
no,
to
no.
even how to do this.
See, through the whole through most of the film, you don't know, who the killer is, you know, and so we've got the police trying to figure it out with the help of the campus Jude playboy Kendall. Um,
Every time you say Jude, I just think you're saying hard J, and I'm like, oh man, the censors are gonna get us. I
right,
don't understand.
right.
Am I? I think I'm just humping it. I figured out how to hump the machine, but I can't. I can't seem to do anything else. Do you play it on your
Oh yeah.
keyboard?
I typically use a controller, but you might have to hit like pause. You might have to hit escape and see what the controls are for the keyboard.
Oh
I
man.
don't know. You just need the flippers. I mean,
Oh, here we go. The flippers are right shift and left shift. Okay, interesting.
so,
That's
so.
that's all
I
I
mean
needed to
the
know.
humping machine that's actually called tilt, and that's an advanced move.
Oh yeah, when you just kind of just wham into it. So, is there anything like sexual in the murders and pieces? Because usually, when I think about a college horror film, I'm thinking about that theme in horror where there's always sort of like a moral lesson behind it, or some kind of morality play where, like, oh, you went off to college and you did drugs, and now you're being punished for being a dirty little piggy because they're going to murder you.
I mean, I guess you could say that. If it was a better film, you might have some of these like clearer themes, But honestly, what really makes Pieces legendary is the ending. Um, the final couple of minutes, I will, at least the last like 60 seconds or so, I will never forget. And I guess you could say it kind of grows into a type of Aesop of sorts. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's the whole movie is somewhat sexual, not really so much in the killings, though. A lot of the victims, it is when they're about to have sex or right after they've had sex or blah blah blah. Um, but yeah, I mean, when you watch it start to finish, you definitely come away with a certain Aesop in mind. That that's one thing that makes the tagline so great, because it ends up being so much more than what you expect from the title.
So he just kills her and leaves her whole.
And no, not quite. I mean, it's definitely it definitely involves um, hacking people up with a chainsaw. I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah, one of the
sometimes
promises was that you don't have to go to
sometimes a
Texas
knife.
for a massacre.
Yeah, you could just go to Boston, or well, actually, like Madrid, but let's pretend like it's Boston.
Oh wait, wait. Now I see what you mean when you said that they wanted you to think that it was set in America. So it was made in Spain,
Yeah,
but they just want you to think that
yeah,
it's like Ivy League, Boston U, or whatever.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, Boston, there's colleges there. Let's set it at Boston University. Yeah, exactly.
So
But
wait.
the director, the director is Juan Piquer Simone, and yeah, it's fantastic. A lot of it's dubbed though. Like some of the English speaking actors are literally dubbed into English by other actors, which is hilarious.
So it has that whole Gojira effect, like they because you said you don't know who the murderer
Kind of, it's
is.
time. Yeah,
Yeah. So I assume it's like
it's
it's the
time.
same trope of like someone opens a door and gasps, "It's you!" But it's done like, a weird Japanese voiceover of them speaking a bit too long, and someone as a voiceover says, "I knew it was you all along."
Not quite. The first kill makes excellent use of the daylight horror trope because the killer's face is obscured even from the person they're killing because of the sun.
The
Uh,
sun. Really?
yeah, because the killer's face is obscured even from the person they're killing because of the sun.
The
Uh,
sun. Really?
yeah, because of because the first the first victim like it takes is directly on the quad in broad daylight. Like she just has her fucking head chopped off. But no, it the way it ends, no one could see. I never in a million years saw it coming. No, I don't think anybody would. It's brilliant, honestly.
Well, you can't leave us with all
Like
this suspense. How does it end?
I can't ruin that. You have to watch the film. It's the best part of the film.
Oh,
But I will say that. Sorry, I'm actually watching the ending muted right now as we're talking. It's fucking brilliant.
I mean, I'm sure our
But just for,
listeners would love to avoid having to watch it and just have you tell them what it is.
I'm sure they would too. And maybe when we're more than 15 minutes into this, I will.
Well, all right, then
But
let's begin back at the beginning. So, who's our protagonist? Is it like a young? Is it like a young blonde, or is it a young man who is trying to find his way in this world? Who's our victim slash hero?
well, Kendall, Kendall's pretty much a professional Jude. Um,
Every time you
from
say
his
that,
attire, you can tell like this Jude just does not celebrate Christmas, just like general winter. You know what I mean? Um,
oh yeah, I mean they're not
uh,
huge fans of it, honestly.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Great fro on this Jude. Um, yeah. One of the strangest characters in the entire film is Mary Riggs, played by Linda Day. The thing is, there's a lot of I wouldn't say classic actors, but there's a lot of actors that, especially at this time, were fairly well known. Um, and it just this movie's. I mean, they all do a really bad job. Um, but one of the best parts. Okay, so Mary Riggs is a professional tennis player. Okay,
Uh huh.
but she also to pay the bills, she works for the police. Right, which means
Interesting.
that. Which means that she's, investigating this chainsaw killer at the quote unquote Boston University, right?
Yeah.
The so there's a scene later in the film, right, where she finds a hacked up murdered woman and well girl, a young college girl,
As you
and it really
do.
upsets. It really upsets her that they weren't able to find the killer before the killer took another life. And so she walks outside and she says, while we were fumbling to turn the music down because the killer blasted music like across the football field, they were fumbling to turn it down so that they could think straight. Well, it's quite brilliant actually, because with the music blasting, you can just hack away with chainsaws and nobody knows, right?
That is true.
But yeah, but she gets upset and she's very upset they didn't find the killer in time. So she steps outside after finding the hacked up body. She screams, "Bastard! Bastard!
El bastardo.
Bastard!"
She
It's
just chants
fantastic.
bastard over and over in rage.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's
Uh,
really, really good. It's better than Vader's step, no.
I mean, let's be
Like,
honest. Feckless displays of rage are pretty common in tales of violence against women.
that's
Not really
true.
much
That's
solutions. Mostly just a lot of pissed off women
also
who
common.
feel and see you.
Also common in tales of women against violence.
This is true.
But yeah, yeah, for sure, it's absolutely true.
I'm sorry. I feel like we've derailed things. Even the fisherman is disappointed in me. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I feel like I'm upgrading the table.
That's okay. How do you feel about that table? Do you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I kind of want to see if I can get this guy's fishing business afloat. I'm assuming every time I reel
Yeah,
in points, he's reeling in the big catch. You know, he.
yeah. I mean, you can't presume to know the inner lives of or the inner workings of fishermen.
I mean, I kind of feel like he has to do this because this is the only way that he can see his kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe he has
To
to send
wave
his
at.
kids to college where they can get murdered in Spain.
That's
I
right.
mean, Boston. Another
Yeah, and
upgrade.
quote unquote. Yeah, for sure. I never thought about that. Like, maybe, yeah, yeah, maybe that's the only way you can see his kids, like from the water, because that's more than 300 feet for the restraining order.
His pronouns are he,
Well,
him, hers because she took
hang
everything
on
in the
one second.
divorce. So let's go back to this college murder story because I feel like college murder, I mean, I assume it's always been as politicized as it is now. People just are more aware of it in terms of, college kind of
Yeah,
being a cesspit. And,
I think as long as there's been colleges, there's been college murders.
oh, well, it's just so
Um,
easy. The average college student is by far the easiest mark.
well, I don't know, if you heard this, but the average college student has killed at least 7 people, and that's
No, you kidding? College students
I
that
don't know if
you
that's true or not, but I heard someone say it, and it sounds
yeah. No, I
it
imagine
sounds
from the
right.
perspective of someone who is a hardened criminal who wants to like taste blood and feel what it feels like to have the life leave someone's body while they're in your arms. It's definitely going to look around your typical college campus and just see a bunch of soft victims waiting to be snatched.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be killing people with a chainsaw, they might as well be like in college,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, fits the theme. Yeah, yeah, it fits the theme.
Like they're being trained to be victims. It's the perfect crime.
Right, right, of course.
I'm sorry, apparently
That's
I
what she said.
confused my computer and turned on my sticky keys function. I feel like I'm making progress in this, but I'm not
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah. Pinball will make you trigger your sticky keys for sure.
Let's see. Oh,
It's
I'm
not even
being weighed and measured again.
right.
Wait, wizard score? There's a wizard score? I have wizard
Yeah,
powers?
like pinball wizard, then you unlock like see that's why my tournaments are so successful, right? Because you don't have to worry about the wizard powers in mine, and you can just play survival without worrying about score boost and all that shit.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking wizard power was going to be something like I can just like hump the machine and it won't cause problems.
That'd be cool. Like that'd be cool. Like if all the machines just suddenly dug you.
Yeah, like I just rub up against it and I'm like, hey, baby, you want some MWC?
NWC, what's that?
Medium white cock.
Oh, MWC. Okay, I thought it was N. It's like New World shorter.
So let's see. What is So we're going back to this murder in a college campus because I'm fascinated by this notion. Honestly, I feel like we should have more murders on college campuses because at least then we would be thinning out the herd, at least just a little bit, keeping them on their
I
toes.
mean, it does. It does keep things interesting.
I mean, let's be
It's
honest.
undeniable.
Let's be honest. Most college students have already been murdered by their doctors already.
True. True.
But it's not a
Well,
doctor
just
in
by
the.
going to college, you've kind of signed a debt.
So this guy, so he, so this, so we know there's a college, we know there's a murder, we know that it's a bad film, but and there's these women who decide to take it upon themselves to find out who this murderer is, because it's never gonna happen again. You see, so so what happens after that? They turn down the music. They feel like they've caught him. What happens after that?
Oh, okay. So a lot of the film is really just our resident Jude Kendall, just I mean slamming ass left and right, like as all these murders are going on. Okay, and there's a side character. Okay, it's a friend of Kendall's. I cannot think of his name. But I guess he's supposed to be like the comic relief. He's like Kendall's like bud, right? Even though we kind of lose track of him as the film goes on. But he has an incredible line, right? Like it's just a bunch of weird segments like this. Okay, the Kendall's best friend comes in to tell Kendall that the dean wants to see both of them, right?
Uh huh.
And along the way, there's a girl that they know sitting at the table in the library. And so the friend walks up to the girl and he goes, "Hey, do you know where Kendall is? Like, I have a message for him from the dean." And she points, like, "Yeah, he's over there." And he goes, "Hey, by the way, are you free tonight?" And she gives him this, like, really, really bitter, mean look. And he goes, "Oh, so I'm slayed by a withering look. Who gives a shit?" And it's just like, whoa, like, rather aggressive. It's just weird scenes like that, man. Like it's like it's I assume what it sounds like when people who aren't American have like have like a fetish for like the like American stewardess or whatever, right? And so like maybe for their partner they start like mimicking the American accent without actually being able to speak like English, right? Like that's almost. I mean, these people can speak English, but that's almost what it plays like, right? Like it's written
Huh.
by someone who I don't know. It's just the lines are weird. It's got such a weird ethereal feeling to it. So we've got we've got our resident Jude just slamming ass, dude. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. Like he's fucking getting it, man.
I mean, you do
And
slam a lot of ass in college. That is true.
I mean, maybe some people. I guess the resident Jude does, but anyway. So resident Jude slamming ass. Got all these weird like. There's this one woman who she has one of the best. She has one of the best lines of the entire film, which is "There's nothing better than smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed," which is just
Well, there isn't.
like typical. Just hear that. You know what I mean?
Have you
Like
ever
hear that. You know what I mean?
have you
Like,
ever smoked pot and fucked on a waterbed? It does three-quarters of the work for you.
see, something tells me you've never even been on a waterbed because
Oh
I don't
no,
know. It
I
doesn't
have.
sound good. It doesn't sound good to
You
me.
gotta
Okay.
take more swimming lessons.
Well, well, but
Hey, agree to
um,
disagree. This is politics
you
corner.
know, agree to disagree. I like that. I can do that. Politics corner. No, thank you. Politics corner. That's not. If my job was working the politics corner, I would probably commit suicide.
Hey, I believe I have been upstanding in my failure to even bring up the FBI raid of Trump's Mar-a-Lago even once.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I hadn't even been thinking about it.
Raided a lot like that murderer probably raided the innocence of those college students in pieces.
Quite possibly. I don't think it's funny you said earlier. Is there anything sexual to the murders? There's definitely a lot of sexual things to the film, but not so much the murders. The murders are mostly just chopping people up. Um,
Well, that's disappointing. It's not even like a Black Dahlia thing where, like, one of the guy's dicks is chopped off and it's, like, shoved in the woman's mouth and, like, her hands are on the wall but her eyes are on the floor, so she has to look at it.
no, not really.
Hmm.
No, no.
Disappointing.
I mean, it's more about cutting peeps up into pieces.
It's exactly what you think it is.
It's exactly what you think it is. Only it goes further than that. It really does. So so as we okay, let's see. We've got some decent. I mean, I say decent. We've got some not so decent red herrings. We've got some obvious red herrings, right? Like what's his name? The groundskeeper. Okay, he's like a big, burly guy. Um, he even like appears with a chainsaw early in the film, so that's I mean, that's a pretty strong indicator that he's the killer, right?
Could
Of
be.
course. Yeah, exactly. Uh, I don't know. It To analyze it almost makes it sound like it's better than it is. Does that make sense? Um, probably one of the things that makes it so good is that a number of the decisions about it were probably just made with a shrug. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Now, see, that's the thing is that European cinema, European film is just so. I don't want to say alien, but Hocus has shown me
yeah,
a theme song to a show about a firefighter. And before I even looked it up, I knew it was British, if only for the bland, mundane, NPR esque intro and the soulless fucking eyes these CGI people had been given. I just knew it was British. Like I just knew,
right.
and that's something I've been learning as I observe more entertainment from abroad. Is that as much as we talk about how vacuous and empty and corporate American entertainment is, there's still a certain level of showmanship that's not really present, or there's a lot of very intriguing, uh, very intriguing sort of. It's a je ne sais quoi. It's a some kind of idea or theme or motif. Somewhere in art school, this was a good idea, but the execution of it just ends up. This is why I'm thinking there's got to be some sort of hidden message, or like maybe there's a symbol in the murders or something. Maybe he's trying to say something, or maybe it's just an empty void I'm
Well,
reading stuff into. I don't know.
it can be a little bit of both. So one thing I failed to mention is that the incident that starts everything, okay, and you'd have to. The film shows you this, but it doesn't do a good job of like making you understand this. So this is kind of like an informed attribute. Like this becomes clear if you go searching for information about the film. If you read like a synopsis, right?
Uh-huh.
But so early in the film, okay, the very beginning, we have a little boy who's putting together a puzzle, and the puzzle is a naked woman. Okay, it's like a naked woman posing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so this little boy is like maybe like eight, like I don't know, 8 or 9 maybe, and he's putting together this naked puzzle. And his mom comes in and catches him. She's pissed. And she's like, we're throwing away all your toys. You go get me a garbage bag, blah, blah, blah. So he goes off to presumably get a garbage bag, but he comes back with an axe and he just like cuts her the fuck up into pieces, right? And then so the cops get there and find her dismembered and find him, and he cries like some guy came in and did it, and he's sad. Where's my mom? Blah blah blah. He passes off that he didn't do it; someone else did. And so all these years later, okay, at this university, there's this woman who is skateboarding, and I'm sorry. While the killer was killing his mom, while the little boy was killing his mom, like a mirror was knocked off the wall and shattered. Right, like he remembers that. Right. So all these years later, at
Oh
this
wait, yeah.
quote
So
unquote,
the little boy putting together the pieces of the puzzle to the naked woman is the murderer much later.
yes,
God, that is just.
yes, we know the murderer is the little boy. We just don't see like who as an adult is the murderer, or who is like a college aged. It could be a student, it could be the faculty. We don't know, but we know it was that little boy, right?
It's also just. It's just such a lazy form of writing they always do with serial killers, where it's like, ooh, mommy wouldn't let me put the naked ladies' pieces together as a kid, so now I'm gonna put all the naked ladies into pieces. Boo! It's like,
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah, pretty
Christ.
much,
I just want to find the
pretty
woman who wrote this script and tell her that it gets better and that you need to have better taste in men.
much. So, okay, so all these years later, a woman is skateboarding, and these people from a mirror and glass company are carrying a huge plate mirror like through the street, and she comes around the corner, and instead of just jumping off of the skateboard like an irrational person, she just screams and puts her hands in front of her, and then she crashes through the mirror. And the implication is that her crashing through the mirror reminded the killer of when the mirror fell off the wall. Again, filmed not very adeptly, not very adeptly. Okay,
See, exactly, dude. This is,
but
sorry not to cut you off,
her
but this is
crashing.
exactly what I'm talking about with the whole European films wanting to have like weird origin story, and they make it the fucking mirror and not the puzzle of the
Right.
naked woman. God,
Well, see,
this.
that's the confusing thing.
And not the puzzle of the
Right.
naked woman. God,
Well, see,
this.
that's the confusing thing. We see, we see like his hands as an adult with gloves on, like as that woman, as that college girl, like in quote unquote present day in the film, crashes through the mirror, that triggers him remembering the mirror breaking, like when he was a kid, when he killed his mom, which makes him pull the puzzle out and start reassembling it, which makes him start killing women and collecting their pieces. And he primarily targets Kendall's sexual conquest. Okay, primarily.
witness, witness the
Yeah,
degradation. This is the puzzle. Do you see? This one is an edge piece and it
yeah.
connects to the side piece. Do you see?
So now that we've established all of that, so Kendall showed up. So it all starts, okay? It all starts with Kendall when he's in the library and one of his many sexual partners, because everybody knows like young Jewish dudes with bros are just like fucking candy at universities.
Oh,
Is
that
what
is
you know.
true. Everyone
So this
likes a
hot
curly-haired
ass,
manlet.
exactly, exactly. This with a generic winter like sweater thing. Yeah, exactly. So this like hot ass blonde chick is like, hey, she literally passes Kendall a note in the library. It's like, hey, let's go do it underwater in the pool. And so she goes off to get ready. He finishes studying, as if I literally would have thrown those books aside if I was just ran, right? Especially if I looked like he did. So, so he's gonna meet her to have sex with her in the pool because she wants to have sex underwater apparently, and then she's the first like victim. So Kendall shows up because he gets like he shows up and he kind of has like a funny feeling, and then so he's there when the cops get there, and it's this whole thing, and so they end up like working with Kendall. Basically, Kendall's kind of a man on the inside because they have their young. I don't know how to describe her. She's a tennis star Mary Riggs, who also is like a detective apparently,
Hmm.
and so she's like going to the university undercover, even though everybody knows who she is. I, I don't know. She's like quote unquote undercover teaching a tennis course at the university to try to suss out who the killer is, right? So Kendall, is like, he's working with her. Yeah, he's working with her. She's like the only chick that he can't get with in the film. So, okay, so they have all their mishaps together where they're trying to figure out who the killer is, and they're always one step behind. And there's bodies piling up left and right. And we don't know what the killer is doing with the pieces that he's keeping, right? Like we have no idea. So
I've got a
we
few
get very
theories.
far into the film. And say it again.
I've got a few theories.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have a
What?
few
Tell me your
theories.
theory.
I will have my puzzle woman, and mommy will never make me not put the pieces to this one. I'll put the nipple next to whatever piece I want to. I have to assume the murderer is as one dimensional as possible. Like, he has to be written the same way that liberal media has depicted male villains, particularly male villains in their late teens to mid to late 20s for the past 10 years, of just like, man, I didn't get what I wanted, so now I'm going to cut your eyes out. Even though that's usually more the purview of the audience that media is targeting.
Right, right. See, that's the thing, okay? There's all these characters that could be the killer. We know the killer's a man, or at least was a boy, and we can assume is a man now. So, we've got this professor who seems really weird, and maybe he's the killer. And then there's the dean who, like, he doesn't really seem off. He's just like annoyed by the whole thing. Like, do we really have to be doing this? And they're like, gee, I don't know. Let's ask the parents of the dead kids if we have to be doing this. Blah blah blah. There's uh there's the groundskeeper who we think might be the killer briefly, but he's pretty much cleared of suspicion pretty quickly. That's the thing, is that it could be all these people, but the film does nothing but conceal who it is. So I mean, there's not even any clues. Like, there's no like, if you go back and rewatch it, like, oh, I see the hint that it was that character. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's no hints anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
And that's,
there's no way to solve the puzzle, like, at all. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, because once you cut a woman up into pieces, you got a completely different type of puzzle to put together now. Um, but the thing is, this just
yeah,
seems
exactly.
like this actually seems like a great film. Like, as you keep describing it, I'm
Oh,
just
it is.
like, they really, like, if they just, maybe they just didn't have it, together at the time. Maybe they just didn't have their like vision set. But I mean,
It was a great film.
I'm
It's
just,
just horribly done.
I'm just
Like,
like, imagine this happening at the set of Animal House. Like, imagine this happening at that
right,
college. That would be phenomenal. Like, oh yeah,
right.
your kids are getting murdered. You know what else is murder? Our matriculation rate. So we're gonna have to
Right, right.
keep that down.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But okay, okay, okay. So we get like very far. Okay, now we're coming up to the end. All right. So we're about to reach the end of the plot here, and what makes pieces just absolutely legendary. Okay. So Mary Riggs goes to talk with the dean because she has a theory that it might be like the professor, I think, right? So she goes to talk with the dean, and the dean drugs her, which essentially, paralyzes her, right? And we figure out that, holy shit, the dean is the murderer. And he's this refined dude. There was nothing to suggest that he was unhinged, right? But he was the murderer, apparently.
Those are always the
So,
most unhinged people.
yeah, exactly. So he paralyzes Mary Riggs, and somehow, I don't remember how, somehow the police and Kendall end up figuring out that it's the dean. So they rush the dean's place and find Mary, and they're trying to, all the police leave to like go off after the dean, and Kendall like is trying to help Mary like get up and walk around, and he's like picking her up and rubbing her legs, like, see, there you go, you can do it. And it's like, dude, like, she's paralyzed from drugs, like, this isn't like an issue with will, you know what I mean? Like, she's not just like depressed, like. But anyway, so so he's trying to help. He's trying to help Mary start walking, and that's when the dean appears from behind like a curtain and tries to attack Kendall. Right. Luckily, the police are still close by and hear what's going on, and they shoot and kill the dean. Okay, so the dean's okay. So
just
movie's
imagining
pretty
the
much
dean
over, right?
stepping out and being like, "Are you my mummy, or are you a new puzzle?"
Yeah, and then he gets shot in the head. Exactly. So they shoot the dean in the head, and you think, okay, end of film, right? No. We haven't even gotten to the best part yet. So Kendall goes to lean against a bookcase while looking like all cool, and the bookcase swings open, and a dead body. It's all of his lovers all the women that he's been just fucking slamming ass with and discarding left and right through the entire film.
All the
Okay?
pieces of the puzzle
All
have come back.
all the pieces of them sewn into one woman falls on him and then falls on the floor, and it scares the shit out of him, right? And he like screams bloody murder and blah blah blah. So you think it's over, but it's not. So they wrap like a blanket around Kendall, like, it'll be okay, kid, don't let it bother you. So you got groped by a dead zombie thing, right? So he's standing there and he's finally starting to feel a little better about it, and what happens? The fucking zombie woman reaches up from under the goddamn fucking sheet that they put over her and fucking grabs his nut and rips him apart through his jeans. Completely castrates the motherfucker. And that's the end of Pieces.
Of course there has to be. See, now that I know it ends with castration, I'm starting to think maybe, okay, this either has to have been written by either one of those angry feminists, but honestly that seems too easy. I'm starting to think that this was actually written by a dude who's just trying his damnedest to white knight. Like, see, I chopped off his penis at the end. That means I'm a good person. Please don't.
To make films. It doesn't make any make films. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Oh.
There was nothing in this film leading up to suggest that dead people are animate in this world. Like, there's nothing. There's not even like a slight like hypnotism subplot. Like, this comes out of fucking nowhere as the absolute ending of the film. Like, it's like watching The Godfather and it ends with someone turning into a fucking werewolf, and that's the last scene. You know what I mean? Like, nowhere in The Godfather is it established that there's fucking werewolves. Like, there's nothing fantastical in that film at all until the zombie castrates Kendall.
I could have seen that. Yeah, that would have been pretty good if The Godfather had werewolves.
Well, no, just at the very end. Just at the very end, one of the characters becomes a werewolf out of nowhere, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And that's the end of the film.
You thought you were gonna betray the family?
No explanation.
You thought you betrayed a family,
No explanation as to why, you
but
know.
those bullets weren't silver. I can't do an
But it's
Italian
pieces
accent, so we're
is
going to
like
settle for Jersey.
right, right. When we're talking chainsaws, I mean, a chainsaw is such a fun like weapon, but it's so like limited that there's really not very many pieces of good media that involve chainsaws. But when it comes to the various amounts of bad media that involve chainsaws, pieces takes the fucking cake. It's you'll never see anything quite like it. Like it is uniquely its own thing.
Oh my god! I
Blows my mind.
just see the thing is, you
It
were
brings
selling this
me.
to me as something just bland, and I've been swept away on a magical adventure. I feel.
Well, we had to get started there. I had to start kind of bland because I had to have something to work up into.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like an old Jude form of storytelling.
Jude. Yes, a Jewish dude is a Jude. Yes.
Yes, I mean, I assume that's what they
Say
were
what you will
saying.
about the Jude.
I mean, I
Say
assume
what
that
you will
like,
about the Jude.
when
They
did this
get the
come
ladies.
out?
I think it was like 84, 83, 84, somewhere in there.
Oh yeah, see, this further cements my theory. This was made by some white knight dude because now it's like around that time, Jews were basically like the same as black people in Europe. It would be the same kind of, cash in you would be making cynically as if you made the hero a black dude trying
He
to navigate a world of yuppie white people today.
If he would have cast a young Billy Crystal as the hero, that would have been a manlier character than the actor that plays Kendall.
Oh well, no, but
Like,
again, that wouldn't be sufficiently anti-fascist. You see, if they had a manly man saving the woman from, what is clearly some sort of murderous Oedipal psychology, no, it has to be a downtrodden, outcast, feminized man. That way, the women are comfortable with being saved by him.
right,
If it
right.
was a
That
manly
makes
man
sense.
saving them, then they wouldn't be able to process it. It would feel like they were just a different type of victim.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that there's suddenly zombies at the end of the film. Because again, you know, that's not established. None of the dead bodies are moving or talk or twitch or any of that. Okay, they're clearly dead, right? So it doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense that he gets castrated because he's slamming ass left and right, right? These chicks are dying left and right, and he's just like largely unfazed. Like he's just like on to his next conquest.
Yeah,
You
that
know what I
that's
mean?
that. I hadn't really thought about that until you said that. But yeah, his victims are selected based on who he fucks. So he just fucks these chicks, and then
Pretty
they
much.
die, and he just puts nothing together.
He just really doesn't give a shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know
Like,
what?
like I mean, any halfway decent person would be like, you know what? Until I understand this more, I'm not fucking anyone else. Like
Nah.
everyone I
Honestly,
fucking killed. Like something's going on.
honestly, a Jude fucking a bunch of goys and not caring that they die after is pretty accurate representation.
Well, leave it to one Piquet Simone to
Oh, I'm
really
kidding. It
cut
could be the
some
same of
what
any
everyone's
college male, really. You think a college male is going to give a shit if, like, all the chicks he's fucking just mysteriously die? In reality, I'm just confused as to why he doesn't become suspect number one in all of this. Clearly, this is.
right, right.
Clearly, they've never heard of Title IX.
Well, the film does a pretty decent job of showing you that it's not him because, like we realize as the audience immediately that it's not him because he shows up like after the lady's been killed.
Ugh,
If that
naturally.
makes see the lady go to the pool, we see the killer from the killer's point of view tell her from the library, and we see that it's not Kendall, right? So we know from the start it's not Kendall, and the evidence wouldn't necessarily point toward him because he's never actually there when it happens. It's always like afterward or right before they can get together, right? So I mean, like the evidence wouldn't put him there, the hard evidence because he's always like in another room or doing something else. But yeah, it. I mean, we the audience know. It seems like the police just kind of trust him pretty quickly. Like they ask him like, "Why were you here?" And he's like, "Well, I had a funny feeling." And they're like, "All right." It's like that's good enough for you.
Oh
You know
man.
what? I had a funny feeling too when I walked in here. They're like, I mean, that's a good enough answer. Like,
He just shows up to the murder scene with a knife in his hand. Why are you here? Oh, just had a funny feeling. I was just smearing the bagel. I don't even have this. This isn't even a murder
yeah,
weapon. Oh, tough crowd.
clearly this guy that's been chopping tomatoes can help us crack this. But no, it's a great film. It's definitely even going into it knowing everything that's going to happen, it's still going to surprise the hell out of you. Like it really will. Like you can read the script and it's still going to blow you the hell away. Like
I don't know. I don't really know if I want to read the script, but I definitely am going to have to watch it now. Pieces? See, they say it's
yep,
exactly what I think it is, but it was nothing at all that I thought it would be. They lied.
it's nothing at all. Yeah, it's nothing at all.
There's so much
You'd
more to
think it would
this.
just be a chainsaw killing, and there's so much more to it. Like yeah, for sure. There's like fucking jigsaw puzzles and fucking Jude slamming ass. I mean, slamming, dude. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, he has to. How's the dean supposed to get his lady puzzle if this guy isn't fucking every single chick he can find?
It's true, and it's also never stated why it's primarily the chicks that Kendall's either sleeping with or trying to sleep with, one or the other. Like,
Well, I mean,
no
clearly
statement is.
he was white knighting for women, not men.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, if you think that Kendall is the average like college male, then yeah, I mean it makes sense why you might white knight because Kendall's kind of a dick.
Oh well, no. The funny thing about all of that is that they don't they don't think that the average college male is like that. They just know that they are like that deep down, and so they have to portray other men like that, so that no one realizes that they're actually the monsters.
That makes sense. As I said, though, I don't think he's so much white knighting as I think it's just a bad film, but one of those like magical bad films
Oh, I mean,
that just kind of
definitely.
transcends
Maybe
into
it's
what
just a
it means.
product of the times, but I can't. I look at
That
that and I immediately think, okay, well, Europe is ahead of us on the destabilization of society timeline by a certain amount of decades, and so maybe that was just him succumbing to
well,
PC pressures before they existed.
to, to be fair, it's Spain specifically.
Yeah. The thing is, if this was made by the guys who made Scream or Scary Movie, it would have been amazing.
Sure, sure. I mean, you can say the same thing about most things.
Okay, fair, fair. I mean, Key and Peele could have done it, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cam Pill did do it.
Oh, is that what that new movie about the racist cloud is?
I have no idea what Nope's about. I would like to see it though, out
Uh,
of curiosity.
all I've seen is a
I have
movie
no idea.
poster where there's like a tiny town and a cloud over it, and I'm trying to figure out whether this time it's about racism because the cloud stands in for racism, or if it's just about a racist cloud.
It might just be, it might just be like Peel's take on that movie, that M Night Shyamalan movie where the wind is the killer.
Oh God, I hate them. All of
Or
those.
no, it's not the wind. It's the plants. Like they release a chemical in the wind that makes people kill themselves
Oh
or whatever.
yes, the eventing, the incidents. The
Yeah,
happening.
there we go. Yeah, the times of our lives or something like that.
All right, so is that it? Is that really all there is to pieces? I feel like there has to be more. Like we haven't even put this puzzle together yet. What happened to the two women
Yeah.
who were resolved that they were going to put a stop to this?
That's pretty much it. Linda Day George, Mary Riggs, she's carried off paralyzed. Um, there's not really another major woman. Other than the mom that was murdered. Um, Kendall is, he gets castrated. The two male police officers, it's assumed that they have to maybe try to sew Kendall's nuts back in. I don't know. Mm.
Can you do that?
Yeah, that's right. You could try.
I
I don't know
mean,
about
I
other
don't know.
people.
I feel like that would be like one of those vasectomies where they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we can totally reverse it," and they just leave out the fact that, well, you're still going to be sterile. We
Right,
could
right.
totally put your balls back on your body; they just won't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can sew your arm back on. It's just going to kill you.
Well, better my arm than me.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed.
If thy
Hard agree on that.
if thy right hand offends thee, get it a beer or go fishing. I bet you could dump. I bet this
Make
guy's
it
got
on
a lot of
shore.
pieces of people in his river.
Probably.
Look at that grin, that
Probably.
manic grin on his face.
Mm.
You know he's keeping secrets.
Well, to be fair, most of us are.
I am completely authentic on the internet. Thank you very much,
Oh, of
sir.
course. Yeah. No, we all are.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah,
people don't have
and I
enough of
pay
is people being authentic feelers in the world.
yeah, and I pay everyone's taxes.
the oh man, see,
I feel like we've got enough
huh?
feelers.
See, I'm more
I feel
interested
like
in the
we've got enough.
psychology of the guy who made this than like the because
On Piquet Simone, he also made Pod People and a few other really shitty horror films.
wait, this is the guy who made wait, I'm thinking Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Is this just like an
Yeah,
Invasion of the
because
Body
Pod
Snatchers
People is like
ripoff?
for sure. That's
Oh
exactly
boy.
what it is. Like that's exactly what it is.
God, I
Now,
just
to be fair though, Spanish cinema is not as bad as Italian cinema when it comes to ripping shit off. Like Italian
really.
cinema is bad about that. Italian cinema will take like they would take an actual current film and they would try to release a film and trick people into thinking it was the sequel. And they like I'm not saying they're the only people that do that, but they're like the only people that they literally in interviews would be like, "Yeah, I stole from this, I stole from this." Wanted people to think it was the sequel to that. They just say it outright. They don't give a shit. Like if they don't care, they don't even pretend like it was something like valid. They're just like, "Yeah, yeah, we just stole this and did this." And
Maybe I
it's
should
like,
do
my
that. Just bill this as one of those like bikini hot tub fun hour bits. I've got the pert boobies. I could do it. And when they come there, it's just, me in like an actual swimsuit drinking a beer, like, all right, guys, you want to see me play cards?
right, right. Yeah.
I start scratching my belly.
Ace, ace is wild, deuce is juice.
I don't know
But
if
no,
I don't know. Don't want to risk it. I would lose the fans we have that I want, and I think we'd gain a lot of fans that I don't want.
yeah, that's true. That's a good
Just
point.
start seeing messages in chat like "press them together." Honestly, something crass like a cat call would be would be less uncomfortable than "You're so beautiful." Yes, of course she knows that. That's why she's showing you her tits for money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Name 'em Obama and Harris.
I mean, hey, two presidents.
One cup.
Two presidents, one cup. Okay, that's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's awful.
Well, I mean, I feel like we've just fallen to pieces now. Is that it for pieces?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all. There is a really good kill. Okay, there's a classic scene where the killer gets onto an elevator with a woman, and he literally gets on an elevator with a chainsaw, and he conceals it just by like kind of like holding it like behind his back, like by his hip. It's fucking amazing. It's amazing. But
Don't mind me, people in this office. I'm just your mild mannered security guard walking through the elevator halls with a chainsaw.
with a full size chainsaw. Yeah. So he gets in this tiny elevator with her, and they're standing there, and he like stops the elevator, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he starts the fucking chainsaw and just fucking like hacks her arm off. But it's just like the idea of like two people in this tiny ass elevator, like where there's enough room for them to basically be standing like shoulder to shoulder, and just like attacking someone with a chainsaw in that setting. That's phenomenal. All you see is him cut her arm off, but it because I think it's actually her arm that ends up castrating Kendall. But God, it's a good scene. Like great scene. There should be more elevator chainsaw killer scenes. Like that's pretty good.
Oh man, yeah, that
There's just
like an American Psycho when he just finds that hooker running down the stairwell and just drops the
right,
chainsaw
yeah,
right on her. My grandma
yeah.
always gets a kick out of that scene.
Yeah,
Well, all right.
yeah. Grandparents, they're violent.
Well, all right. I guess that might just be the end of the evening. Master of ceremonies, unless there's anything else about the wonderful film pieces. It's exactly what you think it is, and yet not at all.
Yeah, yeah. No, not that I can think of. Just that the two lead police officers that take over the case, they have beautiful eyes. I mean, very pretty eyes. They're not bad looking men, but their eyes in particular,
Oh well, I mean
holy shit.
that's just a Spanish thing.
I guess, but
Oh yes, no, that is
great eyes,
a land of
great eyes.
España is a world of soulful eyes,
Mhm,
probably from all the
mhm.
wars.
And the poetry helps. The poetry wars. But okay, yeah,
God, we
pretty
forget.
eyes,
Lest we forget the
pretty
poetry
woman.
wars.
Yes, yes, the great poetry wars of the Aussies.
Are the Australians known for their poetry?
I mean, if you piss them off enough, you know. But if we're talking Australia, I mean, we're talking an entire nation of England's like prisoners, right?
That's true. Yeah, an
Yeah,
island
so probably
prison,
some
like Escape
incredible
from New
poetry.
York.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Australia is Escape from New York. And I don't know if you know this, but criminals they make some incredible art typically.
I kind of want to try and find
So
someone to play pieces now, to make pieces. Maybe if we find like someone in the serial killer ward to make it.
yeah, maybe so.
Well, all right. Thank you all for attending. This has been a night of pin and balls with the Master of Ceremonies. Tune in tomorrow night for another Pokemon adventure, and we'll see you next week with another exciting tale.